Ninh explains the rules of Candlepin Bowling. The object of the game is to knock down more pins than your opponent. Candlepin Bowling is a variation of 10-pin bowling that is predominantly played in the northeast of the United States and the maritime provinces of Canada. It's played very similarly to 10-pin bowling and is played on a surface known as a lane. The lanes are 60 feet long and are up to 42 inches wide, but lanes can vary depending on location. If you bowl the ball wide of the lane, they land in the gutters and will be carried past the pins. The pins themselves are taller but significantly thinner than 10-pin bowling pins. They're spaced in identical spots, and each pin is designated a number. The bowler uses a small, light ball and has up to a 16-foot approach to the foul line, which is the start of the lane. A game is divided into 10 frames or 10 boxes. Each box represents one turn for the bowler. In a turn, a player is allowed to roll the ball up to 3 times. This means that you have 3 chances to knock down all 10 pins, as opposed to just 2 chances in 10-pin bowling. If you fail to knock down all 10 pins with your 3 balls, this is known as an open frame or open box, and this scores the exact number of pins that you knock down. If you knock down all 10 pins with all 3 balls, this is known as a derby, and this scores exactly 10 points. If you knock down all 10 pins with 2 balls, this is known as a spare, and this scores 10 plus the number of pins knocked down with the next ball. For example, if you score a spare and then with the next ball score 9, the spare frame is 10 plus 9, which is 19. And if you knock down all 10 pins with your first ball, this is known as a strike. This scores 10 plus the number of pins that you knock down with your next 2 balls. For example, if you score a strike and then follow it up with another 2 strikes, the first box is scored as 10 plus 10 plus 10, which is 30 points. Players generally alternate turns between boxes, and once both bowlers have finished 10 boxes each, the person with the highest score wins. So what's the point? Why not just play 10-pin bowling? Some people prefer this game because the ball isn't anywhere near as heavy, and it's less of a strain on the body to bowl. Also, with the fact that the pins are a lot narrower, it's harder to get strikes, so this is a bigger challenge to some. You also get 3 chances as opposed to just 2 with 10-pin bowling, which again appeals to some people. But one of the biggest differences between this and 10-pin bowling that people may prefer is the fact that the pins are not necessarily cleared out of the way in between bowls. This is the deadwood line, and any pins that have fallen behind this line stay where they are. This means that players can deflect the fallen pins, known as wood, into the remaining standing pins in order to help knock them down. This adds an extra dimension to the game and plays into the strategy of the sport. Any pins that roll forward of this line are removed from play. You also have to manually reset the pin setter machine after you've had your turn. This is usually done automatically in 10-pin bowling. That's the bare basics of Candlepin Bowling, but there's a few other things that you'll need to know before playing or watching a game. For example, format. The most common format is a single match, where one person plays against another person. But there are also competitions for teams of 2, 3 or 4 players to bowl against another team. There are separate contests for men, women or a mixture of both. Split. This is where the first ball of the frame results in pins away from each other still standing. This is known as a split. Terminology. Candlepin bowling has unique terminology that isn't found in other types of bowling. Some of these terms include headpin and kingpin, which refers to the 1 and 5 pin respectively, wood, which is any fallen pin that is lying on the lane behind the deadwood line. It's also known as live wood. Deadwood, which is any fallen pin that is lying on the lane in front of the deadwood line, or in the gutter. 4 horsemen, where the only pins left standing are the 4 pins in a diagonal to the left or to the right. Diamond, where the pins left standing form a diamond shape. Half Worcester, where the bowler misses the head pin and strikes the 2 or 3 pin too directly, only punching out the pin directly behind it. This makes it difficult to complete a spare. If you roll 2 half Worcesters, i.e. clearing the 2, 3, 8 and 9 pins, this is known as a full Worcester. And a mark refers to either a strike or a spare. Foul. This either refers to a ball that is rolled into the gutter or a player that has stepped across the foul line. Doing so will count as a ball but will not score. The pins that are knocked down are replaced. Also, any pins that are knocked down by a ball in the gutter or by bouncing off deadwood into the pins don't count either. Perfect game. As in regular 10-pin bowling, the maximum you can score is 300 points. This is done by rolling 12 strikes in a row. Why 12 strikes instead of 10? Because if the bowler gets a strike in the last frame, the score for that frame cannot be recorded before rolling twice more. This is known as a perfect game or a 300, and is the equivalent of a 147 maximum break in snooker or a 9-dot finish in darts. Having said that, nobody has officially done so. The highest score ever recorded in an officially sanctioned game is just 245, so if you want to try and roll a perfect game, you'd be the first person in history to do so. Be sure to check out my other video on 10-pin bowling if you're still not sure, and if you have found this video at all helpful, please be sure to like, share and subscribe. It takes me ages to make one of these things and good karma is very much appreciated. Follow me on Twitter also and share this video on Reddit, but in the meantime, enjoy Candlepin Bowling.